Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for March 2019.
From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner Colin McMahon transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Starting off here at the store, we're doing book club on March 29th. We're doing Paper Girls Volume 1. This has been a real popular book, doing really well. It's by Brian K. Vaughan of Why the Last Man fame, and Cliff Chang doing the art on it. A story that starts off set in the 80s with a group of friends who are paper girls, and they get into hijinks and stuff, and then it ends up with aliens and time travel and all sorts of fun stuff. So we're doing that here in the store on Friday, March 29th, 7 o'clock. There's pizza. It's a good group. Everybody always has a real good time. Also, celebrating Boom Studios. They gave me this t-shirt this weekend, but they have been a real strong supporter of comic book stores since they came about. So for March, we're doing double points on all Boom Studios books, and this gives you an opportunity to see what they have. I can spotlight them a little bit. One of my favorite books ever came out from them with Six Gun Gorilla. But Boom has been a real proponent of comic book stores, a real friend. I just came back from the Comics Pro meeting that was last week, and we actually gave them the industry award for being so positive and so helpful to the comic book industry. They do this Boom Innovators program, where we can order as much as we want of certain issues and return them, so it lets us have the shelves full of books and not run out, and be able to see who wants stuff and have lots on the shelves, which is really an important thing for us right now. Another thing going on in March, now this is going to be fun. I'm going to have another award-winning midnight release party. I won the award for the Doomsday Clock midnight release, and we're doing one coming up on Tuesday, March 26th for Detective Comics 1000. We had one last year for Action Comics 1000, and it was a big success. And we're doing it again for Detective. They're doing 10 covers plus the regular cover. They're doing one for each decade. So there's a 30s themed cover, a 40s themed cover, all the way up to 2010s. And then a regular cover. And there's also a special midnight release variant that you can only get at the midnight release. We'll start off with DC, since they're having a real big month and our midnight release, and again, Detective Comics 1000. It's one of those big, super oversized, square-bound books. Tons of creators are going to be involved in it. It's going to be wrapping up the current storyline that's been going with Peter Tomasi and Doug Mahnke. That has been outstanding and selling out like crazy. I can't believe my detective numbers, the way they've really spiked here. So Detective 1000 is coming out at the end of the month. Doomsday Clock. I thought it was coming out last month, but it got kicked to this month. But that's coming out the first Wednesday on the 6th. This book has been really good. I'm sad that it's been not even bi-monthly at this point, but something that has been really outstanding. I should have all the issues in stock. I just got some more number ones in. Actually got some midnight release number ones from another store. So if you want the fancy lenticular cover, I got it. Batman Who Laughs is giving us a spin-off. It's been a story of the evil Batman who came during Metal. And they've introduced a new character known as the Grim Knight. And this is another Bruce Wayne from another doomed world who's come. And he's dark and even darker than usual. And he uses guns, which Batman doesn't normally do. So this is a one-shot, and it's written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion. And the nice thing, it has art by Eduardo Risso, who's done a ton of great work. But most notably, he did... during Flashpoint, he did the Batman story, which was awesome. But he also was probably most well-known for doing 100 Bullets. Just a real nice, clean art style, but really good. I'm really looking forward to this book. They have a neat one coming out from their new Wonder Comics line, which is the line that's kind of curated by Brian Michael Bendis, that has Young Justice. And they also did Wonder Twins, which was awesome. But they have Heroes for Hire, and this is coming out. This is Sam Humphries and Joe Quinones is doing this, and the idea behind Dial H for Hero is there's a dial, and when you dial the word hero on the old school dial, which most kids don't know how to do anymore, but the old rotary phone dial, You get powers for an hour, but you don't know what you're getting. And typically it turns out that it's a completely bizarre power that you don't know how to use, but it seems to be fit exactly for the need that you have. So always a fun book. It goes way back to the 60s and a House of Mystery and all sorts of fun stuff. Terminus Agenda. This is a crossover going between Deathstroke and the Teen Titans book. And basically the Titans have had enough and they decide it's time for them to once and for all take care of Deathstroke and take him off the board. And so it's going to go between those two books. After the Price story that took place in February between Batman and Flash, Batman's getting back on track with its Nightmare story, leading to the big showdown with Bane. Green Arrow. Now, Green Arrow is ending at 50, but it's ending not because of sales or anything. It seems to be ending for storyline reason. And this can be interesting because it's tying into both Justice League No Justice, in which he was the last hero left on Earth and had to stop the things happening, and he also then has some things to be able to take down the Justice League, and also tying into Heroes in Crisis, wherein Roy Harper, Arsenal, the old Speedy, who was his sidekick, was killed. So this could have some pretty big ramifications for the character of Green Arrow and see where that's going. Injustice League is starting a new storyline, which involves the Sixth Dimension, and in order to prevent something from happening there that could destroy the entire multiverse, they have to get to the Sixth Dimension. Well, the person they need to get him there is in the Fifth Dimension, and it's Mr. Mxyzptlk. And that's not good, because he's kind of always a wild card. So we'll see. This looks like fraught with disaster. So, now we get to Marvel. Marvel Comics is going crazy. In March and April, they're just really ramping up. They always love to gear up for the big summer events and things, and they're starting now. Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man is doing a Hunted storyline. And this is where Kraven the Hunter has come back to America, and he has decided that he needs Spider-Man. He needs Spider-Man's head on his wall as a trophy. So he is going to be trying to take down Spider-Man. This is going to be going through a bunch of books, and to be very confusing, and that's why I'm telling you this, they also have extra issues that are designated with a .hu. So they did issue 16, which is a prelude to the Hunted storyline. Then they're going to do a 16.hu, which is kind of an extra issue, and then there'll be a 17. And they're doing this for a bunch of issues. So if you see a 16 and a 16.hu, well, they both are separate books and they both matter. So, fun, fun, fun. Also have another Conan book coming. It's Age of Conan Balit. And she is, it's a miniseries focusing on one of Conan's most formidable and memorable compatriots. So it's a little 5-issue story by Teenie Howard. Avengers No Road Home #6. This one's standing out a little bit from this whole miniseries because in this one, something happens with the Scarlet Witch and she ends up in Conan's time and meets Conan. So this is going to be Conan in the regular Marvel Universe for one of the first times. That's not a what if and things like that. There's a Marvel Tales Thor. They've been doing these for a little bit. There was a Black Widow and a Venom, which are just reprinting some stories. This one's kind of neat. Just the stories that it's reprinting are kind of cool. The origin of Loki, also the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Just some kind of big books that you're probably not going to be able to afford on your own or be able to have. It's nice to have in just one little package. Another one they're doing that with is we're getting an Incredible Hulk 181 facsimile edition. They've been doing this for a bunch of books. But it's actually a complete reproduction of that issue, the first appearance of Wolverine. Most of us can't get. I think it's like a $3,000 book at this point. But it's funny because one of the big problems with that book is back then when it was coming out, there were stamps in the books. And the idea was you cut out the stamps, you put them in this book, and you mail it off and you got something special. So a lot of Hulk 181s have the stamp cut out. So it's going to be kind of neat to be able to see what the stamp is and all that in this book. I know I'm looking forward to reading this because I never have. Spider-Man Life Story. This is by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. To celebrate Marvel's 80th anniversary, they're having fun with this, and they're retelling Spider-Man's entire story through the decades. So this first book is going to be set in the 60s. It's going to involve Vietnam and some other things. The cover of issue 2 has a disco ball on the cover, so just to give you an idea of what they're going to be doing here. So this is just a little mini-series, but it looks like a lot of fun. Magnificent Ms. Marvel. So G. Willow Wilson ended her run on the Ms. Marvel book. I think it was 50 issues total. And so now they're relaunching it with a new writer. Saladin Ahmed is taking over. He's done a lot of really good stuff lately. I think he won the Eisner last year. So he's taking over Ms. Marvel, so just kind of a new direction with the same character. Meet the Skrulls #1. In the Ms. Marvel movie, the Skrulls are the bad guys, so they're kind of reintroducing the Skrulls to the Marvel Universe. Back in Secret Invasion, Skrulls had kind of infiltrated all of society, and you didn't know even some heroes were actually Skrulls. So they're kind of revisiting that and reintroducing the Skrulls into society and who can you trust type stuff. Domino Hotshots. Domino was a really successful book, sold really, really well by Gail Simone and David Baldeon. And it ended, and now they're kind of bringing it back. It's a little 5-issue miniseries with Domino and her cast of characters that she worked with through that whole book. Ghost Rider destroys Marvel history. So, Cosmic Ghost Rider. Sorry, different Ghost Rider. So this is Frank Castle. He's the Cosmic Ghost Rider. And he goes back in time and decides to kind of mess with stuff. Runs into when the Fantastic Four are getting their powers and decides to tinker there. And he's going through messing stuff up. Interesting thing with this is a comedian Paul Scheer is writing this. You'd recognize him if you saw him. Big gap-toothed guy. He's been in tons of things. He likes to do those little interview shows where they're, the decades, the 80s, and he'll talk. So you'd recognize him. But just they like getting comedians in on these books. Age of X-Man continues in the X-Men franchise. They're adding 2 more books. We're getting Prisoner X, where prison in the Age of X-Man is actually the danger room, and you have to live in the danger room facing all those threats all the time. And the newest prisoner that's there is Lucas Bishop. So introducing him into that. Also, Apocalypse and the Extracts. And in this world, there is no love. And so there's a rebellion going on led by a gentleman named En Sabah Nur, who is actually Apocalypse. And so he's striving to teach the world about love. Spider-Man City at War. This is a miniseries based in the video game universe. So it's got that costume and it's going to be based on things that happened in the video game. This is Dennis Hopeless is writing this one. Star Wars has a couple things coming. Age of Republic is wrapping up the prequels, and we're getting a Padme Amidala book, and we're getting a General Grievous book. So finishing up the prequels, and then we get into the good stuff. Sorry, I'm biased. Star Wars is also doing a Vader Dark Visions book. This is by Dennis Hopeless as well. And it's basically, there are some parts in the Star Wars universe that are so dark that Darth Vader is considered a shining knight. So it's going to kind of look into the other side of Vader as possibly like a hero for some people in the universe. And they're also coming out with a kids book, Marvel Rising, which has been a popular one. They've done a bunch of them, but it's got a bunch of young female characters with Squirrel Girl, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, America, and Spider-Gwen. So it's nice that they're targeting books for some young girls, which is always good. Next up is Image, who I do want to give some kudos to. They're kind of following Boom's path, and they've offered returnability on some of their #1s, which lets us order more for the shelves, and hopefully more people get to see it. So we're not taking as much of a risk. First one is called Little Bird. And basically the story, it follows a young resistance fighter who battles against an oppressive American empire and searches for her own identity in a world on fire. So fun and exciting, but should be interesting. The art looks fantastic in it. Another one's called Assassination Nation. This is Kyle Starks and Erica Henderson. Erica Henderson did Squirrel Girl for a long time. And basically the idea behind this one is that the world's greatest hitman hires 20 other of the best hitmen out there to protect him. And now these murderers and ne'er-do-wells have to not only protect the new mob boss, but also figure out who is trying to take him out. So it's a little bit of a mystery involving bad guys. Lazarus Risen. Greg Rucka and Michael Lark are back on this. It's coming out. It's going to be a real big, thick, I think like $8 book. I think it might be quarterly. But it's taking place 2 years after the events of the last run of the series, where things went completely sideways for the main characters. And so it's going to be 2 years later and jumping in to see what's going on. Also, a lot of new story arcs are starting. I don't often talk about the other books. I just focus on the #1s. But there's new story arcs coming in: Eclipse, Farmhand, Oblivion Song, Skyward, and Witchblade. So those are going to be jumping on points for those books. If you've heard anything about them, now's a good opportunity to jump in this month. Then Dark Horse. Lots going on there. Really good guys, really working hard. They Fight Club started last month, which was real strong, just like last one. But they have a new one called Invisible Kingdom. This is by G. Will Wilson and Christian Ward. And this is a neat one where two women independently, this is a science fiction story, but two women independently discover that the leading religion in the universe is actually embedded with one of the mega corporations that's running the universe, and they have to figure out how to put a stop to that. Black Hammer has a new miniseries coming entitled 45. It's almost like a golden age story in the Black Hammer universe. I still can't believe how well this book sells in every iteration. People just really enjoy it. Jeff Lemire is really onto something with this one. Astro Hustle. This is a neat one. This is Jay Nitz is doing this. Just a real neat guy. He owns a comic book store, but he's also a writer. Got to talk to him at the meeting. But Chen was accidentally cryo-frozen for 60 years, and when he wakes up, he discovers that his younger brother is now president of the universe. And unfortunately, Chen is kind of a ne'er-do-well and does what he normally does. He steals stuff and causes problems. So that'll be fun for his younger brother. Bad Luck Chuck. This is another one from Magdalene Viziago, who has a ton of books coming out. Her name is on a bunch of stuff. But this is one where Charlene, known as Chuck, was born cursed with bad luck, and she basically hires herself out. If you need an insurance settlement, she'll show up and something bad will just happen to you. But eventually she crosses the wrong people and now is on the run for her life, trying to figure out how to get out of this bad situation. And then Calamity Kate. This is one where Kate has always wanted to be a superhero, so she moves to LA to finally become what she wants to be, a gun-toting monster killer, because zombies are running rampant in LA. So, sounds fun. IDW, they have a lot of neat stuff. The big one is Transformers. They're rebooting it. They're coming out with a brand new #1, not getting rid of all the history, but just kind of starting fresh to let people in. And they have fantasy author Brian Ruckley, and he's bringing an epic story to this. So it's a great jumping on point. If you've loved the movies, but wasn't sure where to get in, this is a perfect starting point for you. They're doing a Glow book based on the Netflix series. Big fan. I loved watching Glow back in the 80s, and the show I thought was fantastic. And Teenie Howard is doing this with all the characters from the show. Gears of War Hivebusters is a new one based on the video game. And Goosebumps Horrors of the Witch House. I really love that they do these Goosebumps books, because so many of the books are based just on cartoons, and a lot of times they just retell stories of the cartoons and stuff, but with the Goosebumps being set on the books, which it's also a TV show and movies and stuff, but the kids may have read the Goosebumps book and come in and see that on the shelf, and it's something new and gets them into comics, which I think is great. So I love when they keep doing these Goosebump books. Next up is Dynamite. They love their licensed properties, and we have a new $6 Million Man book set in the 70s, where he has to go to Japan and take care of a man with missiles. And then they also have one called Obey Me, which is based on a video game, and basically forces of heaven and hell wage war on Earth, using servants and mortals as their weapons. So fun, another video game book. Boom, who I dearly love and am supporting wholeheartedly, has two new #1s coming out. Firefly, which has been a huge hit for them, has a special, Bad Company, and it's telling Saffron's story. Saffron was Mal's wife, and it tells her tragic story that has never really been fleshed out, was never fleshed out on the show. And they also have one, Ronin Island, and this is from Greg Pak. And basically some mysterious event has destroyed the main cities in 19th century Japan, Korea, and China, and the survivors band together and find refuge on this hidden island and to have to create a new society. Aftershock has also been really supportive of us. They did a real good presentation, been real helpful. They're also doing returnability on a lot of their #1s. They have a new one from Tim Seeley called Dark Red. And it's a vampire story set in the Midwest, and you have a down on his luck vampire who works the night shift at a gas station and has a real boring life until she comes to town. So who she is, I don't know, but we'll have to read and find out and see what's going on there. Albatross. Goon is back. Eric Powell is revisiting his award-winning series, The Goon. So he's bringing that back with a new #1. Archie. Everybody loves Archie. Bringing a new Sabrina book. Sadly, it's not the horror one that the Netflix story was on. Hopefully we'll get more of that later once the shows kind of wind down. The problem there is the writer of the book is also the writer of the TV shows, and I'm guessing the TV shows pay better. But it's a new Sabrina book. It's more Archie, less horror. So just bringing that character back and more of the hijinks aspect of the witch. Also, Riverdale Season 3 is coming out in comic book as well. Black Mask, one of my favorite companies who I love talking about, has a new one called Labrator. This is two vigilantes go into this research facility to let the lab animals out. Unfortunately, they discover that they're actually being used by the military and have been seriously upgraded, and all of a sudden now, after releasing them, they are on the wrong side of these animals who are now trying to kill them. Lion Forge is also one that's been really supportive of me and the comic industry. Gail Simone is actually taking over their Catalyst Prime. I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's a big Catalyst Prime section, which is their little superhero universe. And they've given her full control, and she's redoing it. That's coming out later, but it was neat talking to her down in Charlotte. But they have a new one called Stiletto, and this is from Pally Schmidt, who did a book long ago that I really liked. Devil's Concubine, just a really neat book, and I haven't really seen much from him, but I had fun talking to him on Twitter about it. But it's nice to see him back doing a book. This is a big oversized one. It's a crime story where two police officers are in charge of protecting a witness, and they're murdered, and the detectives now have to investigate that. And through their investigation, they discover that there is a leak inside the police station, and that's why these officers were murdered. And the leak is only known as Stiletto, so they have to search and find out who Stiletto is and take care of it. Oni Press has another Magdalene Viziago book, Morning in America, and I just like the description. Part Nancy Drew, part Stranger Things, part Sex Pistols and punk rock. 1983, suburban kids versus monsters to prevent the end of the world. Valiant, they were fun there. We had a big wake for Toyo Harada because of the new book that's coming out, The Life and Death of Toyo Harada. They even gave us black ties and everything, all sorts of fun stuff. But his mission is to save humanity from itself, but in the process has he turned into humanity's greatest threat. So this is going to tell, I'm guessing, his final story. And then Zenoscope. I don't talk about Zenoscope a lot. They mostly do the Grimm Fairy Tales books, and they're all kind of the same. A little cheesecakey, but telling the stories. But I thought this one just kind of struck a nerve when I read the description. It's Gretel, #1. Basically, Gretel is all grown up, and she's put her past behind her. But all of a sudden, she develops the power of premonition, and she sees the end of the world. And now she has to go back into her past and deal with things from her past to be able to stop the destruction of the world in the present. So I thought that was kind of a neat little idea that I hadn't seen before. So that's everything going on in March, plus tons of other stuff. Like I said, all the other books are still continuing. Heroes in Crisis at DC. War of the Realms is ramping up at Marvel. That's going to kick off in April, but we're getting all the little Prelude books are starting up. Just tons and tons of stuff going on. Lots of good books coming out. So come on out. Hopefully the weather's going to break and won't be an issue anymore. Like I said, we're doing the midnight release on Tuesday, March 26th. We're doing book club on Friday, March 29th. Double points on Boom Studios graphic novels all month long, and we'll have a little display up so you can see all the cool stuff they have, because they also do a lot of licensed stuff. So lots of neat stuff at Boom. And as always, you can find me at the store, PittsburghComics.com, Pittsburgh Comics on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram is PGH Comics. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Thanks a lot.
Cosmic Ghost Riders Diary Cosmic. When I was a Marine, I saw some brutal. But that was nothing compared to seeing my family murdered. I became the Punisher and did what the guys in tights wouldn't. When I died, I made a deal with the devil. Lost my sanity, well, what little I had left. Then, I made a deal with another devil for some fancy schmancy powers cosmic. I tried to fix that mistake by going back in time and raising the mad baby to be good. But that was an even bigger mistake, so I brought him back. Been stuck in the past ever since. And since I'm an idiot, I went for the hat trick and made yet another deal with the worst devil of all. When you've gazed into the double-barreled shotgun of the cosmic abyss, you break one of two ways. Either everything matters or nothing does. I used to be an everything matters kind of guy, but now I'm the other way. I guess what I'm saying is, life is so much better when you realize there is no point, no deeper meaning. So I've been kicking it around Earth for a few centuries, keeping myself entertained. Sure, I might have created a few of those paradox thingies, those eggheads like Mr. Fantastic and Beast are always yapping about. But I was just killing time, waiting for this moment, the day before my family died.
Frankie!
It's Francis, but you can call me Mr. Castle, because I'm the man of the house when my dad is away.
You are even cuter than I remember.
Mom, there's a pervert here for you.
When did the little guy get so funny? And why didn't I ever notice?
You're just gonna leave the door open? What did I tell you about that? I don't know.
Hey, Maria.
Oh my god. Freak!
Oh geez, why didn't I think this through? How do I explain that I'm her husband 2 million years from the future?
What? No, I'm Frank's uncle. That's right, Frank's uncle. Fredo. Heard my nephew was back home and wanted to check in on him.
Wow, he never told me he had an uncle.
Oh, you know Frank. He likes to compartmentalize.
The resemblance is eerie. Please come in. He should be home soon. He just went to well, honestly, I don't know where he goes.
Compartmentalizing. He's having a tough time adjusting, huh? I know that feeling. When I got back home from the war, I was a mess. Give him time. Castles might be dumped, but we make up for it in stubbornness. Not a good combo, but we figure it out eventually.
I just want to kiss her right now. Don't do it, you maniac. She's lonely, but not make out with creepy old stranger in a trench coat lonely.
I should get that.
What you got going on there, kid? Spidey fighting Grizzly?
No, that's Bear. He's a good guy. He has a motorcycle that goes vroom.
Oh yeah, I got a motorcycle too.
Is it shaped like a bear?
Shaped like a bear? No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen!
It's not stupid, it's cool! Your bike is stupid! Fredo, my daughter Lisa got into another fight at school. I have to pick her up. Can you watch Frankie?
Are you kidding? Of course. This little guy is a breeze compared to the last kid I babysat. So you really like this superhero stuff, huh, kid?
When I grow up, I want to be a superhero or maybe a chair.
It's good to keep your options open.
My dad never wants to play superheroes with me.
You can be kinda grumpy, huh? That's why he sent me here. Because he knows you love superheroes and you want to know a secret.
I might regret this.
I'm a superhero.
What? No way!
I'm the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Oh my god!
That's my kid, alright.
What are your powers?
I'm really good at No, I'm the spirit of... I got the powers cosmic. It's complicated.
How come I never heard of you?
I don't like the showboat, kid. Ever hear of the Fantastic Four?
Yeah!
Well, they used to be the Fantastic Five.